I would say that the reason that I find storytelling specifically to be so important is because not only because it's a lost art in the modern world in a really big sense, it's almost become solely centered around the entertainment industry of making movies and having these great visuals and things like that, pushing the envelope of the way that technology can inform that. I feel like what we're doing in the modern world is losing the actual art of what storytelling has been for the vast majority of human history, which is the transmission of wisdom and understanding from one generation to another. And that's something that I think could really be recaptured in the next decade or so if enough people get on board to recognizing the need for that. It's not like the younger generations are getting all that much wisdom in the avenues that they're seeking story right now with the microwave dinner version of entertainment that you get from things like TikTok or YouTube Shorts or any number of other things, even from cable when I was younger, watching MTV and dirt like that. It's like you're not receiving, like, you might be entertained and you might be receiving the bare bones of something like a story, but you're not receiving the transmission of wisdom that normally would be just directly embedded in the telling of a story. And I personally I find a deep meaning in reflecting on story simply because of the fact that it seems inevitable and unavoidable to me that when I think about my past, I have these memories. I think about my future. I make these plans. I build these expectations. And I think about the tasks that I'm oriented toward completing and aiming at right now. And all of those things seem to present themselves to me. And the only way that I can interact with them is in the framework of something like a story. That is just the world that I live in. That's just the way that human perception itself works. You do think and plan and remember within the framework of a story. And if you don't believe me, like, think of a memory and try to tell yourself about it without telling yourself the story of what it is that you're remembering. That's where the details and the context of those memories actually live, is in the telling, in the story. It's one of those things where if you look at Revelation 12, it's one of the reasons why his people are overcomers is by the word of their testimony. It's the telling, it's to testify to the truth. And so the truth is in the telling. Truth is foretelling, and so I think that all of those things together give me a really robust reason to care deeply about storytelling beyond the simple entertainment factor of listening or telling a story. Especially as a father, I have kids, love to tell my kids stories. Not only ones that I've made up, but things that I've experienced or that I've seen other people experiences, or things that I've read that I can kind of condense or distill down so that they can use it. It's not necessarily like I have to tell them every detail to an adult story, but they don't need the adult themes to garnish the wisdom that's still there, as long as I'm able to present it to them in a way that can be mapped onto their experiences, because they too live in the story. So it kind of leaves us with the question of if we're living in the framework of a story. First of all, what's the story? What do you do about it? And who is the main character of the story? Is it you? Are we so deluded as to think that we're the main character of our own disjointed stories? Or is it the case that my experience in what I understand to be the story of my own life is actually nested in something much bigger that I can participate in? And I think that if you ask the question further, what story is that? The overarching or meta narrative that we all kind of inhabit is the same one that was taking place when Noah was going into the ark or Abraham was building his altars. That's the world we live in. It's not some distant thing that the Bible is just talking about, an imaginary mythical past. It might be the distillation of story into something that seems rather mythic, but that doesn't mean it's a different world. It's not Middle Earth we're talking about. This is the world we live in. We live in the same world that the Bible tells stories about. And so that's what I would say is the reason why storytelling and its tie into to the biblical narrative. That's the reason why this is such a big deal to me personally.